You're cutting in and out, Robbie.
What'd you say, Mark? I didn't hear you.
You are cutting in and out.
Are you there, Mark?
Yes.
I didn't
You
know you
don't hear
went
me?
to. I didn't know you went to school for criminal justice.
Yes, I did, Robbie.
Why'd you go to school for criminal justice? In your first episode, we just talked about you being a banker.
I could have sworn I brought it up.
Is that
We're
why
gonna have
you
to listen
learned?
back.
Is that why you learned criminal justice so you can be able to rob banks? Like you get the position in the bank, and that's slowly how you.
No. Very, very different.
So did you want to be in court and everything?
Uh, I wanted to be a cop. At least I thought I did. And then I realized how long it takes to hear back from the tests, and it doesn't really matter what my degree is. I have to wait for these civil service exams. So I've done well on some, but it takes like 3 or 5 years to hear back usually. So I got my scores, and they're good enough to get hired, but it takes a long time. You have to wait for people to retire, and there's a lot of other people that are ahead of me on score wise. So, there could be like 100 people that got 100, and with my 95, I could have like 200 other people that got 95, and there's like 30 openings. So it's going to be a long time.
You would
But
be a way better cop, though. Like, I bet you one of those guys that got the position, the 100 over your 95, is probably a psychopath. Like, he's probably the ones that we see on the news and shit like that.
yeah, I don't know, Robbie. I don't know. You
Like,
must
okay,
really not know me too well then.
let's. Apparently, I don't because I didn't know you went to school for criminal justice.
I
But
could have sworn I brought it up.
no, you
Man,
just started talking like Wolverine. I'm like, all right, kid, slow down real quick. Let's hang on. your
yeah,
cop,
I don't know if I started off like that.
your cop
Uh,
name would be the Honey Badger.
oh my God, the honey badger. Honey badger don't give a shit. That would be me. That would be me. No, man, I can't. I couldn't do that. My mother wanted me to be a lawyer really badly, and I knew the law well, and I was in mock trial and all that shit in high school, and I did well on that too. But I didn't really realize it until later on in life that I was like, I only really liked it because I got to do like you got to play an expert witness, which is you're just playing a character because it's all fake. I like doing that way more than I did actually doing like the casework and going up as a lawyer in front of the judge and all that stuff. I enjoyed the acting part of it, and that's when I started putting two and two together when I was in school, and I was like, I really enjoy doing that more than anything. And then kind of found my way into voiceover, and here I am. Here I am. But
Well, I mean, I'm happy you're here. If that you're sitting here telling me your life story, and I'm like, all right, man. I just asked a simple question. Is I didn't
my
know you.
life still. Wow, Robbie.
I'm just
So
kidding.
so
How's the gaming going? I know we talked last time about the game that you were doing, and you're gonna take a sip of water while I talk, and then, but the gaming,
uh,
like, is it going? Is it getting farther down the line? I know you said a couple of years, but like, are you having fun still with it?
a lot of people dropped out, so it kind of took a huge turn. Yeah. So we went from having 13 members. We were going to actually have 16, hopefully by February, and then we dropped down to 6, including myself. And some of the main people dropped. We had no more coders left. So the big issue with it was when I came in, I was told that like, hey, we have this idea and everything that's going on. I was thinking already that it's going to be the story was going to be written, because that's usually with anything, whether it's a movie, show, video game, there's something written somewhere that it's based off of, and it wasn't. So I came in and I was thinking I was just going to voice a bunch of characters, creatures, whatever they needed, and then it turned into everyone kind of brainstorming ideas, and I was like, wait, so you guys are not as far along as I originally thought. So then they asked me to help with some of the writing. It takes a long time to do it, especially if you want to do it right. And for the scale of what we originally wanted to do, it was gonna take a while. So I got to the point eventually down the line, I was writing the story by myself, and other people were doing like side quests and stuff like that. And then everyone else was trying to like figure out the art side and the code side, and I didn't realize that people were still trying to learn. Like not everyone there knew what was going on. Like I can write. I've written stories all my life, but when it comes to, stuff like that, like that's not my expertise, so I can't help them. So when it comes to people doing that stuff, if they don't know what to do, they're kind of on their own. Um,
You were kind of
so
bean boozled, I would say, and like kind of told that it's a little bit farther along than what you initially thought it was. That's interesting because I think that's like that with not only this, but that's like that with so many giant entertainment places. Like I was listening to Jim Brewer talk about being on Saturday Night Live, and if you Saturday Night Live in our eyes is like this amazing like show that comes on, live comedy. You get to see the laughs, and it looks like a lot of fun to be on. But everyone that's been on it and that's not on it anymore talks about how it's just the worst workplace. It is the worst place to be on. People stealing bits. I mean, Jim Brewer talked about how like he would be typing a skit into his computer. So let's say, Mark's eating a sandwich at a deli and then he runs into Al Pacino and he types it into his computer and it goes up. Well, they would come by and say, hey, I see you're writing the sketch because we actually have the passcode to the server network and we can look on your computer since it's a company server. And you can't do that sketch because it's a little bit too much for Saturday Night Live. And then he's like, okay, I can change it up. And then they get to the audition or they get to the rehearsal and he's sitting there and it's like, all right, next sketch is Mark eating a sandwich at a deli and he runs into Tom Hanks. And you're like, that's my sketch. And Jim Brewer
yeah,
talked about how he would look up and everyone that like knew about his sketch would be looking down at a piece of paper, not making eye contact. And he's like, oh, this is how we're playing it. Everyone has those stories. It's like, if you're in it for the craft, much like I've talked to you, I think I've known you pretty well, despite knowing you went to fucking college for criminal justice. Um, you're a good dude. You really care about voice acting. It's definitely a passion of yours. And I think if you can see that through anybody's Instagram, like you look through people that are doing a bunch of work, not asking for, they might have a little Etsy or a Pinterest, whatever, to get a little bit of money, maybe a Patreon, but they truly care about their crafts. These aren't people that are running the show. A lot of the people that are running the shows are like, they're going to lie to you. They're going to glamour it up to make it sound like they're farther than they are. Much like if you say, what's your dick size? Then Mark says 10 inches. Just chop 4 inches off of that because he's hyping it up a little bit. You know what I mean? It sucks because what's the world trying to consume? Good things. And a lot of the good things that aren't being made or aren't being seen is an issue that I have. And that's why I choose, like, I don't want big sponsors. I want friends. I want people that I know and I like that I support because I think that's
yeah,
what we need, a little bit of realness in the world. Everything already is too fake. It's like walking around in reality television.
yeah, exactly. But no, man. I mean, I completely agree. I went into it just feeling like, oh, so this is where we're at. And listen, kind of already, I already kind of had my heart in it, so I was like, I'll do the story. I'm like, fine, I'll do it. Um, and it's mainly like there were other people doing it, and then it just wasn't. I couldn't count on those people anyway, so it was always just me doing everything by myself. So now that all this happened, all I have left is my story, which it still isn't done. It's still a while from being done, but I have invested so many hours into it already, and creating these characters and coming up with them, and you know the different towns that they go through, and just the world. I'm trying to make this a living, breathing thing, and then everyone kind of just dropped out. So I'm like, so I'm stuck with people that I can count on, but it's all we can do right now is kind of just go back, get the bare bones, and at least have something that we can salvage, and then maybe we can get some other people and kind of have them work with us to make a game or maybe a visual novel or something. You know what I mean? So we're the time isn't going to waste.
Maybe instead of trying to turn it into a game, because that's a lot more, I guess, harder than it is. I mean, I know some game developers I can probably see if they can help out or might be interested in, but I think your best thing is trying to create something visual. If it's not going to be an audio drama series, or if it might be maybe just like a short movie, but it's like an animated film movie. I mean, that's best bet. A lot of people, I mean, there's still people playing video games, but a lot of it turned into this platform. Like people want to see visual stuff you can promote on Instagram, Facebook, and all these things. They're going to want to see little sketches and stuff like that. I mean, though I'm not a big fan of Instagram promotion or any of that type of stuff because they don't there's a big money thing behind it that I'm not a fan of. It's just very, very backwoodsy. Like when Google sells out your information, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of does like the same stuff. They'll use your data and they'll actually
Yeah.
get bots to like your stuff. So it keeps the money going up rather than giving you actual people that are going to interact with your page, which I'm just like, this is just, how do you, you give people this chalice of like youth or chalice of water that's like when they're dying of thirst, and then they go and sip it and they're like, this isn't water, this is horse cum. Like it's not fucking right. And it's interesting because like, dude, my brain's running a mile a minute. I'm already thinking of like scenes to put you in scenarios. Cause like, for example, what's a character that you created for the game? Cause now you can kind of talk about it a little bit more. What's one character that you have that you really, really connected with? Like, this is the A fucking one. Like if you had to delete everybody but one, it was going to be this character that would stay.
And that's a tough one. It's just one of those things. I made it so realistic that if there is a main character that you follow, that you see it from his perspective, but honestly everyone else around him is what brings out the things that you enjoy about the character. So I guess there is one character, it is the main character. I guess I can explain a little bit. Basically the guy is in a situation where he has his, he's been through a lot, growing up on the streets, going into war. Then he kind of develops a brotherly relationship with this group of people, and then after the war is over, they all kind of band together and they figure what are they good at? They're good at fighting. They're good at combat, so they become hired mercenaries. But then shit goes wrong. He starts to realize that he's not like the other people that he thought were like brothers to him. All the killing that they've done over the years, he never really enjoyed it. That's not what he wanted to do. It's just all that he really knew. But everyone else there, they have like this lack of empathy.
Cold, dead
So
inside.
yeah, so and they're more about the money. They're more about the power that they feel. He's more of like, this is what I'm good at. I got to find a way to get out. But they go on this one last job, and it's supposed to be his last one. He lets everyone else know, but then things go wrong. So basically, some innocent people are going to get slaughtered, and he steps in, and then he makes a decision whether or not he's going to continue to do this and allow this to happen, or he's going to take a stand, and this is his last job. He's going to do the right thing. So he does the right thing. He pays the price, and is killed. But it's more of like a fantasy aspect to the story. So he wanted this release, you know what I mean, to being able to get away from everything. Obviously, that's taken away from him. He's killed. But it is a release in a way. He has to, finally gets away from all that crap. But he's not going to have that life that he wanted to have, which is something more normal. Not having to kill people. He can have a family. He can have, a normal life like everybody else. And he ends up getting betrayed by his closest friends, his close group. But then he comes back. Something brings him back. And he's kind of stuck between being dead and being alive. He is alive and he can die continuously, but every time he dies, he comes back.
This is boss level. What are we talking about here?
Yeah, so every time
that's
he
the
dies,
movie, Boss Level.
Boss Level, I've never.
It's on Hulu. The guy keeps dying and he keeps coming back, and he's like, the only thing worse than getting stabbed with a sword is the one time I got shot in the dick. And then it's like a scene he gets shot in the. It's the guy who plays in Avengers. He plays Barlow or Rumlow, the guy that explodes himself as the and they Scarlet Witch throws him up against the building and he explodes in Africa on that one side of the building. Wow, if you really describe the Avengers, it sounds like you're on fucking crystal meth.
It does.
Dude explodes in Africa. Fucking bam.
Yeah. No, I've never seen that movie.
But I mean, it's a good dude. So your next step, if you want my opinion, and whether you want it or not, I'm gonna say it. You need to get down to the editing parts. I mean, you're good at being able to cut your own voice up and be able to do voiceover stuff. So just learn an editing program and be able to create your own audio drama. The reason why I say create your own is I can send you voices. I can get people that'll be voices to help you out. So you're not just by
Yeah.
yourself, but it is something that you need to press yourself on. I mean, the issue is like if you leave it up to someone else to do it for you, that's the problem. Like there's not a lot of people that, it takes time. I mean, I was in an audio drama series, a great guy. But man, I think we posted one episode, and then it's like it's been months since the second one, and it's always like these messages to the group, busy, have this come up, and it's like
Yeah.
there's just so much conflict in the group, and I'm like barely in it. I'm like, I'm good. I do one voice. I did one line. Like it's so much easier. Like if someone could just send you lines, you'd be able to mash it up. You just got to have the time and learn the process editing skills, dude. But you got to turn that into an audio drama, man. That's not a video game. Your idea is like
Yeah. I mean,
Happy Days meets Terminator.
it's I didn't give you all the detail. There's a lot more into it. I've gotten a lot farther in the story than what I just described. I was just trying to describe the main character, but there's still a lot left out because there isn't. I am obligated. Everyone signed an NDA, so I can't really go into much more detail than what I just gave you. This is probably the most I've been into detail that I went in with anybody.
You don't have to. It's okay.
No, I wish I could, but I can't. Just because even though everyone dropped out, we're all legally bound not to we can't. No one can take this idea and go with it. Like legally, we're not supposed to
exchange that water with some gin. I'll bet I'll get some answers out of you.
No, man, it's definitely something that we thought about. We had people that were going to code, and that were really good at it. So we had like the potential to have something of professional grade quality for a game. It takes a long time. I think everyone thought it was going to be easier than what it was, and I was in here like, this is not going to be that easy. Like it's not going to be, especially at that point, I was like, it's not going to be a year and a half. It's going to be like 2, 3, maybe 4 years before we have anything. I spent, especially now, because like by the time you guys get your shit together and you're able to pump shit out, because the biggest thing is the art stuff. Being able to do all that takes a long time. So by the time I catch up on my story, I mean, they might not even be done. That was the reality of it. So now with the people we have left, we have people that do concept art. We have no one that can animate. That's the biggest thing. If we have someone that can animate, then we can have like a visual novel. I want to have something visual because we already have so much concept art for the characters that I don't want them to go to waste. So if I can have something that someone could see as well as hear through the voice acting, so it's more than just an audio thing that you just listen to, that would be great. When it comes to the voice,
the audio is going to come first, and then you create the concept art to go behind it, like the video goes to it. Like there's a guy who takes all Joe Rogan's podcast episodes and he makes JRE moments, but they're tune versions of it.
I've seen those. Yeah.
Okay, it's the same thing. The episode comes out first, and then you make the scene that goes with it. You can choose to do it all at the same time. It's just going to take a lot more time and a lot more work. But I mean, you don't really have a deadline. You don't have a rush date. You don't have anything because you don't have an episode posted yet. So it's like, why don't you focus on creating an audio drama story? I mean, it's a big avenue right now. At least it'll help build up some followers to get you to when you do release stuff, and then maybe people will fund you. See, the issue is when you're doing it for free and you're doing it for, I guess, even though you want it to become something, you think it's going to take you somewhere, it takes time to invest first. And the issue is if people aren't seeing the dollars rolling in right now, it's very hard to get everybody on board or consider that a priority. You know what I mean? If it's not bringing in the dollars now.
Exactly. That was the issue we had. Nobody was getting paid.
Yeah.
So that's what we discussed at the beginning, that everyone had a goal in mind. Like this was going to be great for everyone's portfolio because a lot of people in there wanted to make games. Like that was their goal. So we should have definitely went simpler. It wasn't my decision on what the game was going to be or what kind of the gameplay and all that stuff. That wasn't up to me. But if we had a story, already going into it, we wouldn't be having this conversation. We would just be working on it diligently, and that would be it. But yeah, I mean, it's tough to keep people involved when there's no money coming in. They're trying to. Not everyone can envision what the end would be like, and a lot of people are different stages in their life, and they're doing their thing. And honestly, it's fine. I mean, because everyone kind of just left. The story is still mine to finish. That's what I really am doing now. I'm focusing on writing because once it's all completed, then I can take a look back, have other pairs of eyes on it, edit it. Because I was writing it as if it was a game. Now I'm turning it because I was originally writing it as if it was a novel. Then I was like, all right, I got to write it as if this thing is a game. That's months ago. And then when everything happened, I was like, all right, I have to go back to writing it as a novel now because this might not be a game anymore. So it's better this way, honestly. I felt like there was a big elephant in the room when every time we had a meeting, because people are talking about stuff. People are not getting deadlines. They're not getting stuff they need to do by deadlines. And, me and a handful of other people are pumping out whatever we can. But,
Mark, we
it's
created a
just,
fucking hockey team. I think me and you can come up with a bare bones idea of a fucking audio drama. I mean, where do you want to go? Do you want to go sci-fi? Do you want to go old school? Do you want to?
it's already created, Robbie. I already
Okay.
have the whole thing is done.
Mm,
Like
yeah.
it's a Western fantasy hybrid. I
The
can't really
fuck
go
is
into more
a
than that.
cowboys with butterfly wings? What are we talking
No,
here?
no, no, no. I can't really go into more detail. I can't.
Priests with morals?
No, enough reason. Oh my god. No, man. The idea and the outline of everything is done. It's just finishing the writing, getting the dialogue, doing all that. That needs to be done. So that's what I'm focusing on now. Once that's done, I have to have a discussion with everybody that's still around, because it may just be me at some point. It may
I'll
just be
be there
me.
with you.
I appreciate it. You
We'll
got to
walk
sign
into
something
the
then. I
flames
got
together.
to. No, man. It's the people that are left. We got a sound guy. He does amazing stuff. He's an artist himself, um, and I mean, he doesn't write, so it's like he's there and he's wondering what to do. And I'm like, honestly, man, like you can make more tracks if you want, but there's nothing that's completed, so I can't like put anything together. I have created. I did it to kind of get people going. This was, I don't know how many months ago now. This is probably last year, middle of last year. I created a scene with one of his tracks, and I did a bunch of I did the characters I had in mind. I wasn't going to voice all the characters, but I just chose something for some of the characters and figured, let me create this scene, and did like a audio little, novel kind of deal. So I had the music, the sound effects. I put that all together. So I can do that stuff. I have an editing program. I use Reaper. So I did that, created the scene. Everyone was like all about it. I was like, this is fucking great. And I was trying to do that to get everyone to see that this is a possibility. We can get something, you know, together with this. You know what I mean? This was just the audio and, the story. But if we have everything else behind it, if everyone gets on their horse, you know what I mean? Then we can have something. It just didn't work out that way. I lit a fire under their ass for like a couple weeks, and then that was it. But I still have that little scene. But oh man, it's what needs to be done is the story. The story needs to be done. Once that's done, then we can transition to making it into something. Just
It's
because I
like
don't want it to go to waste.
yeah, about to say it's kind of like your baby at this point. It's like if you're giving up on your baby, it's like throwing it out with the bathwater. Kind of, it's a pain, especially when you put so much work into it, thinking you had these aspirations for it. It's the same thing. I was listening to a documentary with Jamie Kennedy. I don't know if you
Yeah.
remember that guy,
No,
but
I remember Jamie Kennedy. I
he
actually saw his stand up like 4 years ago when we actually could go places. But
about to say because he's been like out of it for a long time, and I was hearing him on a podcast, and ever since the Son of the Mask, like his whole entire career just went downhill because he was offered this role, and then he was like, yeah, I'll do it. And it was like I think it was like $10 million they were giving him to do the movie, but he had big shoes to fill, which was Jim Carrey, so he had to make it his own. But since he made the movie his own, it's going to be Jamie Kennedy's movie, is what they told him. He thought it was like, oh, I get to do it in my own style. But literally, they meant like when the movie tanked, which it did, that all the
yeah,
blame was going to be on him. So then he just found it hard to work again. It kind of messed up his career a bit. And then he went to fucking dressing up like Bart Simpson and doing birthday parties and shit like that. Like nobody would know. He talked about how someone stole his clown outfit from out of his car, broke his window, stole one of his clown shoes that in his suit, and shit in his glove box. Like, just fucking,
Christ.
like, he was like, what the hell? And it's like, you hear that guy's story about how he got fucked over by Hollywood. It's like, you got to produce some stuff yourself. You see all these main people, like Dave Chappelle produced his own comedy thing. Joe Rogan's opening up his new club. You got to really do it yourself and not really rely on a lot of people. Like, friends will help you
Yeah.
along the way, but it's a scary endeavor, especially when you're doing something like this too. I mean, I can give you so many scenes that you could just voice over if we could just get someone to animate a couple of minutes. And I know people I can get to do for you. Do the Last Supper. Do that. Do a voiceover for that. That's got to be the funniest scenario, to be at a dinner table with all these guys. Like, everybody, gather around. Get ready to take a picture, everybody. Have your hands. Judas, stay over there a little bit. You're not going to kill me just yet. Just do some shit where it's like, it's going to be funny. And it might go against, like, oh, like, people are going to go, oh, like World Star, where the dude, like, oh, like, screams.
Yeah.
But that's going to get people's attention. Adam, the guy who draws a lot of my shirts, amazing
Yeah.
artist. I'll tell him, hey, you might need a little sketches or something. But he literally did a drawing of Daffy Duck, Elmer Fudd. Every single character has really been canceled, flicking off, like, in a drawing, just sticking up their middle finger. And the thing went fucking viral. Like, the thing got over like 700,000 shares. It got like over like 600,000 likes, all these things. And he didn't get any credit. No credit at all. Someone just took his photo and went off with it. You gotta do something that is going to push a little bit on society. Cause I think at this point we're at this cancel culture break where people are like,
Oh,
I
yeah.
don't give a fuck anymore. And I like it, because now this is the prime time to capitalize. It's the prime time to steal back what we lost in creativity aspects of things. I mean, stuff is just becoming very, very watered down, very, very industry. I don't like the whole industry thing. I mean, podcasters, I've heard so many talk about how it's like, oh, it's a radio show. And I'm like, no, it's fucking not.
Nope.
I'm a son of two radio people. This isn't radio. This is something completely different. It is what you make it. If you want to mimic the style of radio, it's because you're chasing an aspiration to be on radio yourself. But this should be a
Yeah.
fun hang. At least my show is trying to be a fun hang. You gotta find. You have literally the tools to chisel it into whatever you want it to be, and that's the important part of it too. You got to
Yeah.
have fucking fun with it.
Oh yeah. I mean, I love it. I mean, when everyone, like I said, when everyone dropped out, it sucked, but it felt like a weight was off because I wasn't having to reach out to people and not hearing back. Because, like I said, coming in, I thought I was going to have like a minuscule kind of role. And then it kind of just became a larger role and an even larger role. And then all of a sudden I'm writing the story and people are coming to me with their art because I'm like, this is my character. So they're going to see, well, this art match the character that I'm writing. And I'm like, yeah, and I'm helping them develop the characters. So listen, right? Like I said, it's easier now. I'm not worrying about anybody else. I'm keeping myself accountable to writing the story on my own time. Still focusing more time. I'm focusing more time now on voiceover jobs and stuff like that, and auditioning and continuing training with my coach and everything like that. So that's good. So I have more time with that. I don't feel like I'm split.
Well, let's see if you
Um,
still got the voiceover talent.
oh no.
If you were a cop, which I think you'd
Oh,
be a great cop. I literally
I
do.
don't.
You don't have that, like, psychopath tendency that, like, apparently the world thinks 99% of cops do, but I think it's probably 0.5
Yes.
that has it, because I know some good ones, and I think you'd be a great one. If I got pulled over for a speeding ticket, that's the scene. I want you to kick me off into it, like how you would talk if you were a cop. You could talk like a cop, or you could talk like yourself.
Okay. No, if I was gonna be a cop, I'm gonna be myself.
But I want to hold on. Let me get you got to walk up to the window and knock on it first so I can roll. I got the arm crank window, so I got to roll the shit down.
Also, yeah.
Oh, hold on. I'm going to roll my window down. It gets stuck. Hang on. This motherfucking son of, damn. 2002, man. What can I say?
How you doing today, buddy?
I'm doing all right, man. And can I ask why you pulled me over?
Do you know how fast you were going?
I don't. Probably pretty fast.
Yeah, you're going 75 and a 50.
75 and a 50. I swear to
Yeah.
God, I was doing about 80. I could tell you that much.
Okay. All right. Well, I appreciate your honesty, but either way, 25 over the limit is 3 points on your license, right?
I do, but how much is crack? Because I'm on a lot of it.
Okay. All right. I know. I see we're joking here, buddy, but let's be serious now. I could just let you go, but I need to see your license and registration first. Okay. Let me see.
Okay. Pop open my glove box and here's my license.
Okay. Registration.
Oh, registration too. Jeez.
Yes.
He asked for a
you
lot, man.
That's the standard, buddy.
Here's the registration.
All right. You wait right here. I'll be back. I'm gonna go to my car. Go back to my car.
Gotta make the door click.
All right. Yeah, you roll down your window.
You gotta do like
Yeah.
back to his car.
All
That
right,
motherfucker's
buddy.
got a horse.
Yeah, I gotta.
That was a good one. That was good.
I was still gonna come back. Now I'm on a horse.
He fucking left with my license and registration.
I just thought of True Lies with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he's like, make it quick because my horse is getting tired. He's like, what, your horse? All right, let me come back to your car now. All right, buddy, here's your license and here's your registration. Your license is expired, by the way. It's expired 2 years. Okay. So I'm gonna have to charge you for that. I'm gonna have to give you a ticket for that. We're gonna say that you went over, since this is your first speeding ticket in 10 years, you were going 10. So no points, just go to the court office. And they'll deal with everything. And what's going on?
I told you I was smoking crack.
Are you smoking crack right now? Get out of the fucking car. Get out of the fucking car right now. Get out of the fucking car. Stop resisting. No,
I told you. I was being honest. I was on crack. Nobody knows what was in that pipe. To quote my man, Marion Barry, what is he? Mayor of Washington. He said, nobody knows what's in that pipe. They said they caught you smoking crack on television. And they still, what if you're bad? He was not bad at his job. He smoked crack and they reelected him. He's good at his job. If you do drugs and you're okay and you're functional and you fix our education system, then fuck it. There's worse things that go on in the world, man.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. All right, so I'm going back on my horse. Well, I don't know how I'm going to arrest you. I'm going to have to throw you on the back. I got a hog tie you and throw you on the back of my horse.
Cowboys. Yo, your horse won't stop shitting.
Yeah, that's how it knows when I have to retrace my steps. That's what I have to do. I have to follow this shit.
They should have to pick up the horse's poop. Why do they just leave it there like it's going to dissipate into the cement? It doesn't make sense. I'm like, sir, your horse took a shit, but I get a $50 fine if my dog does, and my dog's a Pomeranian. Like, it's a squirrel turd at the most.
Oh, my God. I wonder if they have anybody that's like a shit guy. They comes like, hey, man. Well, I mean, they have the street sweepers, but I can't imagine.
Oh my God.
One of those things getting the shit on there and it just spreads it across the country.
Spray somebody when you're standing by a puddle and some dick just turns his car and hits the freaking pothole, sprays water up. I've been at fault for doing that probably.
Honesty. There you go.
Usually it's when I live in a beach town, so I see a dude in a tank top act with his chest all puffed out and his arms all wide, like he can't fit through a door. I just okay, this gives me full entirety, I think the word is, to be able to hurt you in every way possible. So I just hit him with my car and just fucking stay on the curb, jackass.
So
I'm a good guy.
Now. I was gonna say you're a good guy. So you don't watch UFC, but so is John Jones. Do you watch UFC or no?
Not really.
Okay. Well, John Jones is probably the greatest UFC fighter of all time, and he got into a hit and run with this pregnant woman. So I was like, "You John Jones now?" That's why I said that.
That's terrible. You could have said Ray Rice or something.
No. Well, it was hit and run. That's why I said
he hit and then dragged her out, and so technically that's a run.
And he also did cocaine. So
And he
that's why
was
I was like, this,
also a wide, what was he, a running back or wide receiver?
no, I'm talking about John Jones. I don't know if Ray Rice did cocaine.
Why is
I'm sure
drugs
he
so
did.
bad? I think people can probably do drugs correctly, but if you're taking so much heroin to where you walk outside and you stare at the fucking sun until you burn all your retinas in your eyes, then we have a fucking issue.
I mean, I think it's an issue when you go and fight somebody and you're on cocaine. There's like a different kind of, you're like,
I can
wired.
I bet I can make that scenario where people can empathize with it. So imagine,
I mean, he's got caught a bunch of times. So go ahead.
okay, imagine a 5-year-old, or not a 5-year-old, imagine a 12-year-old, 13, no, let's say 15. 15 is okay to start doing drugs. 15 years old, kids getting bullied really bad at school. Every day, getting the shit beat out of him, getting made fun of, getting his clothes ripped. Literally, they made him like they ripped off all his clothes and he was on the middle of the bus and everybody made fun of him for his sideways wang. Okay. He gets off the bus. He says, I'm not taking this anymore. And he starts walking to a Brazilian jiu-jitsu school. Kid stops before the school, runs into a crack dealer. You're the crack dealer. Talk to me.
What the fuck is going on?
Just play with it. I'm a 15-year-old kid. You're selling
How am I going to
crack.
sympathize with this? I didn't realize we're doing a scene.
Just come on.
Kid, get the fuck out of here. You're 15. I don't want to go to fucking prison.
What are you over
It's
there?
worse when I sell it to a minor.
What are you over there selling, mister? You're trying to sell me the crack. Don't
I'm
ruin
not
my
selling you
story.
shit. No. All right. All right. Kid, come over here.
Hold on.
Keep your voice
I
down.
gotta walk by and then
Okay.
what do kids listen to these days? Wake me up before you pogo.
Oh, Christ.
Okay. Hi, mister. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Keep your voice down. Come here.
What's this,
All right.
mister? You lost your dog or something?
Do you know what crack cocaine is?
Freebase?
Okay. So you take this here, right? And this is going to give you super duper powers. You're going to feel crazy energy. You never done a push-up before? Be prepared to do 50. You're going to feel fantastic. Now, would you like some of this, kid?
Golly, mister, it sounds so enticing. I was just gonna go masturbate.
Okay. How much money you got on you, kid?
I got about $2 and I got a quarter with a piece of gum on it.
All right. Keep the quarter. Give me the $2. You have any older brothers, sisters, anybody?
No.
Great. Do me a favor. Take this crack, okay? Smoke it. You know how to do that, right? You know to smoke it.
Isn't that where you take it and then you bend over and then you just insert it?
No.
No.
Okay, I'm gonna show
I've
you.
been doing
what
it
you
wrong,
do.
apparently.
I'm gonna show you. Okay. Here's this pipe. Okay. You're gonna put some of this in here. I'm gonna light it for you. Okay. You ready? Put it in your mouth. I'm gonna light it.
That's not the first time I've heard that.
Christ. Okay. Ready? Good. Now inhale. This is horrible, Robbie. All right. Good. Let it go. Let it out. Okay. 2 more of those, and you're gonna be on cloud 9. Now, do me a favor. Tell all your friends to come see Dirty Mike. Okay, Dirty Mike will
It's
give.
always Dirty Mike.
Come see Dirty Mike. Dirty Mike has the hookup. Okay. All right. Now you
Okay.
be good. Now get the
Okay.
fuck out of here.
I'm gonna go punch some walls.
All right. Fantastic.
I am Zeus, no mortal may stop me. He just runs off into the street. Hang on. Now, with that scenario, the kid goes back. He got a little bit leftover crack. He goes back right before he gets on the school bus. He smokes crack. The kid gets on the school bus, and the bullies are picking on him again. He beats the living shit out of these bullies. Now you can empathize with a person taking drugs because this kid had been pushed to the brink where he has literally gone to the worst possible scenario of smoking crack to be able to defend himself because the entirety of his emotional abuse was too much that he had to take a stand, and he picked a drug with an overall physical stimulant advantage where he bashed these kids' heads open. Now 4 kids are dead and you're being sued for selling crack to a minor.
Oh man, I get where you're coming from. I still can't sympathize with John Jones because if I, like you said, you know who John Jones is. He has an
I
87
wasn't
inch.
trying to sympathize with
Okay.
John Jones. I was
Okay.
saying
Just in general
sympathize with the drug.
with the drug. Okay. All right.
I think there
I
are
see.
people that can do drugs rationally, and I only understand that because Carl Hunt. Here's the thing, Carl Hunt, the guy who told me about addiction is bullshit. I went to school for chemical dependency. I went to school for addiction. I switched over to psychology. Now, here's the funny part. It's community college. No, that was a good one. That was a good one.
That was funny.
But no, he was talking about like you're not really addicted to the drug. You're addicted to the feeling that it gives you because whatever you're using that drug to get rid of, the pain. Usually when someone's house burns down. The weird part is like here's the problem with rehab facilities, for instance. You go to a rehab facility, the person that's hired there or you're paying is there to get you off heroin. That's their only job, is to get you off heroin. That's why you see in rehab facilities, they usually end up going back or reusing. It's like a 78% chance that the person's going to end up reusing or going on
Yep.
to a different drug because it's a money scheme, man. They're there to treat your addiction thing. But your addiction is the fact that you're trying to get rid of the pain, considering it, maybe a person's addicted because their wife just died. Maybe they're addicted because their house just burned down. Okay, well, you got them off the crack that was making the pain go away, but now they're miserable and they turn to another substance. Here's the issue is I used to really enjoy watching Dr. Drew. I used to really enjoy like his podcast, listening to him talk. I thought he was a great guy. But then I found out Carl Hunt's view of Dr. Drew or Hart. I think his last name might be Hart. I'm messing up his name. But he talked about how he hated Dr. Drew. And I was like, how could you hate Dr. Drew? He's such a nice guy. He looks like a nice guy. He did Dateline or Loveline, whatever that show was.
Yeah.
But he goes, anybody that's a part of a show that's going to exploit someone else's pain and someone else's, I guess, downfalls for television profit is not good in my book. And I was like, listening to it, I was like, what is he talking about? Well, Dr. Drew was a part of Celebrity Rehab. And we want to talk about the world being kind of fucked up in industry. You're literally showing people celebrities, and their idea was you show people celebrities on drugs and getting over it. It's going to empathize and create a more authentic person or a general person that people can connect to. People want to see that. No, people want to see how fucked up somebody is so they can examine their own life and realize they're not that fucked up. And that's when I was like, damn, that. I lost a little respect for Dr. Drew on that aspect of things. So I was like, you never want to exploit someone else's pain, someone else's thing that they were going through. I mean, some people on that show handled it well, but it's the same reason even Fear Factor was big. People want to see other people go through some horrible shit. They want to examine and take a step back from their own life to look at someone else going through some crazy stuff. Same reason Wipeout's fun. When you see someone get fucking hit in the face with like a random, like come out of a wall or something, or someone like slip and fall and look like they broke their neck or something, it's funny shit, but
Yep.
it's someone else's pain that you're exploiting.
Yeah, it's like a natural, especially with like Wipeout. It's like a natural human thing. Like you see somebody get hurt and you just laugh. It's not like you're sitting there thinking like, oh fuck that person. I want them to get hurt. Like it's not even a malicious thing. It's just you see it happen. You think it's funny, um, but it's not happening to you. That's why it's funny. And it's the same thing in general. Even with your friends, if someone does something stupid, uh, one of my buddies, he was playing darts and the dart bounced back and he tried to catch it like a dope. Luckily, he didn't get stabbed. The thing poked him right in the hand. He's like, when it's like something like stupid like that, he got hurt and he had a little like mark in his hand. He was bleeding a little bit, but it was like a crazy freak thing. But we all are dying because he got hurt, and it was just like a weird scenario. But it's not like we want him um, to get hurt. It was just one of those things. I don't know what it is. It's like a
The world got
subconscious thing.
corrupted when
Yeah.
AFV became a show. When you could watch people getting hit in the nuts, and that's the scary part. Is why ridiculousness they put on the beginning of their intros, like, "Hey, do not send us any clips. We will not open or
Yeah.
view them." It's because people will try their best to get famous. That idea of being famous or that idea is getting conflated with surviving. I mean, I just think in the world today, we should have enough money or be able to do something that we enjoy without having to worry about bills as much. Everything right now
Yeah.
is like trying to struggle to get a little ounce of something for yourself or find 1 ounce of enjoyment in the world. And it's not a perfect world, but shit, man. I don't
You got to
know.
make the most of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, everyone has different cards, and you got to just You got to play them the best way you can. But
How are you going to
segue
dig
off.
us? How about say, how are you going to dig this out of us? A rabbit hole.
Oh my God. Well, I was just gonna mention because we haven't caught up in a while.
Yes.
But I ended up getting COVID.
Oh my God. Can you smell?
No, dude, I didn't get any symptoms. Like not one. Like I felt like a head cold, but like nothing.
You're a perfect
But
specimen.
listen, so I went to go hang out with my girlfriend, and then my buddy was having a small thing at his girlfriend's out east house. Mind you, I haven't fucking gone anywhere. Like no like really gatherings or anything like that. I figured, all right, there's like no more than 12 people. Let's just go. It's a big house. We're gonna be outside most of the time. It's gonna be fine. And my girlfriend's been going and seeing her friends and shit in like Connecticut and stuff like that, and they've been fine. She hasn't felt sick. So I was like, okay. So it's been she's been able to do it. I'm like, fuck it. Let me just finally go and see my fucking friends instead of just seeing one at a time. So we went. It was what weekend? St. Patrick's Day weekend.
Hold on, you had COVID St. Patrick's Day weekend, and I'm just now finding out about it.
No. I didn't test positive until that following. I didn't want to freak anybody out. I didn't tell a lot of people because I didn't want people freaking out. I wanted to wait because I didn't know what the fuck was going to happen. What was the day? I just got to look. It was.
I didn't find out sooner.
Come on. A lot of people didn't find out sooner. Right?
Well, damn it, man. I care about you.
I care about you too, man. I didn't want to freak you out. It was. When
I hear someone dies of COVID, I'm like, yeah, it might be a small number of the population or whatever, but it freaks me out because I think it's a gene thing. I think there's probably something in that person's genetic code that is like an abnormality or something like that. That's like maybe 0.1% of the population has this specific thing, and that's what it really feeds off of. They're unable to handle it as well. That's what I think.
Yeah, it makes you more susceptible.
But I'm not a immunologist, so I couldn't.
Yeah, I don't know either. But no, that's I feel the same way. I got
dude doing a podcast, ISIS curtain in the background.
ISIS curtain. I tested positive on I think it was the 26th
for COVID.
26th. Yeah. So what ended up happening? I found out I got exposed. We went to the party on Saturday. On Sunday, I found out that somebody was there and ended up testing positive. Now, mind you, we all got rapid tests before we came. I know they're not as accurate, but whatever. We all got rapid tests. Everyone was negative. So one of the couples there, they ended up testing positive. They came back, and it was such a weird thing. The girl was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry." She goes, "I ended up testing positive. I hope I don't get anybody sick." She goes, "I went home. My mother is a what's it called?
A nurse practitioner?
No, she's a microbiologist.
Damn.
And she did a home test to see what I had because she was feeling under the weather, but like a lot of people were feeling under the weather. I felt like allergies. It was like I had postnasal drip. I ended up getting tested like when I was really feeling so sick a week or two before the party even happened, and I didn't test positive for anything. But yeah, so she did a home test. Her mother tested her, and she was just apparently just doing this test to see what she had if it wasn't COVID. And it came up that she had COVID. So I don't know what kind of fucking home test she has, but to be able to figure out that she had COVID from like a general test, I have no idea. I don't know how it works.
Did she self Q-tip?
It's not even that. It's the test kit. Like she was saying that she did like a regular thing to see what she had. So it wasn't COVID specific. And then it still showed COVID. So I don't know what kind of test her mother had. I don't know her, personally. That was my first time meeting her. So I was just hearing through my buddy. And then her boyfriend went to go get tested at a city med, and he tested positive also. So I was like, oh shit. And then all of a sudden everyone started testing positive. Even my buddy who invited me, who got vaccinated, he got both shots. He ended up testing positive too. So I was like, oh shit. So I tested negative when I came back home. I got a PCR test on Tuesday, tested negative. Then I got another one on Friday, and then I tested positive, or Thursday, or whatever it was. I tested positive. It was a weird thing. So you haven't gotten tested before or tested positive before, have you, or no?
No, my dentist had COVID and he had his hands in my mouth, and I haven't
Oh
gotten
Jesus.
COVID, so I don't know.
Okay,
I
well,
might
that's
be that lucky bastard that might have the antibodies that could save everybody, but unless you're fucking paying me, you're not fucking touching me.
yeah. So
I should start
um,
slicing my arm open and being like,
right.
$10 a drip, $10 a
ten
drip.
$10.
Suck it out of my arm like the count from one drop of blood. Oh, 2 drops. No, I'd save the world, I guess. I mean, I could be that guy.
I guess. Uh,
I'd rather
so
get hit by a fucking bus saving a kid, to be honest with you.
yeah, right. I feel the same way. I rather do that. It's more of like
I
there's
want
less
a
time to
noble
think.
death,
You just
damn
do
it.
it. Yeah, right.
Who
Right.
wants to die of like in their sleep? I know a bunch of people are like, I would like to go in my sleep. I'm like, I would like to die in a heroic act, like saving a potato salad from a house fire. Like fucking
Potato salad.
heroic.
Must have been a good potato salad.
That dude's getting
Oh.
headline news. You're getting a fucking back page article after those dumbass Archie comics in the fucking newspaper.
Yeah, it's probably a weird thing. Just like you die in your sleep and then you wake up, you're like, oh, well, shit.
If
You
you
know, it's
die in
not.
your sleep, how the fuck do you wake up?
Well, I'm saying when you,
It's like
if
Scary
there's an
Movie.
app, yeah,
he diad and then he woke up dead. He's like, how the hell you go to bed dead and then wake up
wake
alive? It
up
doesn't make
live.
any sense.
You know what I mean? Uh, I don't know if there is an afterlife, but I imagine there is. So that's what I meant. Um, but no, so I ended up getting the results online for my PCR test. That's what I tested positive on, was the PCR, and I know they say it's like the gold standard of the tests or whatever.
Wait, so hold on, just so I clarify, you didn't like fill out a questionnaire and they told you you have COVID. You took a test and then you got the results online.
No. They call you too, but I took a test when I was there. Like I physically went to the lab and they did like the nose swab.
Okay. I'm
Um,
just making sure you didn't take some like Harry Potter quiz
no,
online.
no,
It tells you you're a
no,
fucking
no,
Gryffindor. It's like fucking you
no,
have
no.
COVID. It's like, oh fuck, what did I score? 67 out of fucking 2,000?
Robbie, you don't think I'm an idiot? I wouldn't do something like
Oh, I
that.
don't think you're an idiot. I've just been tricked by those ads you see on Wish where it tells you they're going to give you a GIMP masks. And I go on there and it's nothing but fucking keychains. I'm like, the fuck is this shit? You were showing me
Oh.
the hardcore stuff. Now I'm getting keychains and none of them have my name on it. Like, what the fuck?
Oh boy, I'm just picturing you in a gimp mask now. It's like disturbing me.
I can't believe that tweet I put up on Twitter. Somebody messaged me saying, based on that tweet, even though it was funny, I cannot do your show. And I was like, are you fucking?
Wait, that happened?
Yeah, I'll send you the picture to it, man. I've actually probably read what he said. Hold on. Do some filler noise.
Yeah, read what he said. Then I'm gonna tell you the crazy shit with this test. Then what
So
my doctor told me.
we're talking about organizing to do a meet or whatever. He's like a scientist
Yeah,
guy.
yeah, yeah.
He said the ball gag as mass tweet pretty well counts me out. I mean, it's funny and all, but not right for me, especially when I want to talk about my professional and scholarly work. All the best. And I was at 4:38
Okay.
in the morning, and I was just like, all I said was, does a ball gag count as a mask asking for a friend? It's a fucking joke. My Twitter is
I was
nothing
just,
but jokes.
I thought it was hysterical. I thought it was hysterical. Oh man. Well, I mean, I guess some people are just
Everyone thought
they
it was. Fucking
Yeah.
astrophysicists, radio astronomers, fucking biologists, water archaeologists. Everybody thought it was hilarious. But this guy's like, I'm sorry, my research, it's too serious. I'm like, sir, you are studying badger fucking. What about your work is going to be affected by a ball gag joke? But I don't give a shit. You know
I
what?
guess he wanted to. I mean, you know what? It probably works out.
I got a clog maker to fill your plates, motherfucker. That's all I got to say. I'm just kidding.
Dude, that definitely works out, because it sounds, from that message alone, it sounds like he was probably just going to talk about himself the whole time.
That happens all the time, but I tend to.
Yeah, I know, but it's like
you
he
were
seemed
doing
like he
it
was
for like
coming
the
on.
first 30 minutes.
Oh, come on,
You
Robbie.
even asked me how I was doing. You sold me crack and I killed 4 kids. What
Robbie,
kind of parent are you?
So just so everyone knows that's listening, I asked Robbie prior to him starting to record how he was doing, and all he said was he's good. So what kind of bullshit answer is that? Yeah. So sorry that I gave you a real answer.
Somebody ever ask you how your day is going and you say, I'm doing okay, but you're not doing okay?
Oh, Well, fine. Before I finish what I'm saying, how are you really doing then, Robbie? Then tell me how you're really
I'm
doing.
doing fine. Tell me about your COVID test. I'm worried.
You motherfucker, you're so full of shit. Man, come on, tell
I'm
me.
worried.
You worried? Okay. What are you worried about?
Your COVID test.
All right, let me finish. Then you tell me really what's going on. So you get the results online, and I got a person calling me telling me I'm positive. Okay. So I'm speaking to the person on the phone, and I'm reading there's like a disclaimer for the PCR test. Now, mind you, they're telling everybody now that this is the gold standard for COVID
Wait,
testing.
what's the PCR test?
Basically it's the same process of getting the rapid test. They put it in the
Oh,
nose,
fuck.
but they hold it there like for 5 seconds, so it's quicker than a normal swab, and they test it. Basically, they just test your snot longer.
Warning, I'm going to shove a cotton swab so far into your nose that you're not going to be able to smell anything but the 4th grade biscuits you ate.
It's like, fuck.
Yeah, so I mean, it wasn't that bad. A lot of people were like, "Oh, it's like poking my brain." I was like, "It's not that bad."
I have a
But
fear of this because when I was a kid, I was cleaning my ear with a Q-tip, and my brother had opened up the door, and it went straight all the way in down to like where I could barely pick it out with my fingers, and it just popped my eardrum. So like I remember that too because nobody knew what was going on. I pulled it out too fast. Like it reacted too quickly, so I wanted to get it out as fast as possible. It's like when you see a kid stick something up his nose and then he can't get it out, and then he starts freaking out. That happened with my ear, and I remember because it was pulsating. I could hear like the pain pulsated like hard in your head. It felt like someone was taking a knife in there, and I just kept screaming every like minute. I would scream, stop, wait 10 seconds, scream again because the pain would come. And I was so little that like everyone's like, "Oh my god, what the fuck's wrong?" I'm like, "Oh, fucking nobody knew I had a Q-tip shoved halfway in my." Tried it.
did you rupture anything, or were you okay?
I was fine.
Okay, Jesus Christ, I didn't know that. Oh my God, that's horrible.
Yeah, so I have a fear of like Q-tips. I have to get the safety swab ones or I won't do my ears. I also use kids' toothpaste because that mint shit is fucking awful. Like I want bubble fruit. Why is it so? Why do I get made fun of and get looks at people from Walmart when I go and scan out my items? I got my lettuce, I got my tuna, and then I grab my watermelon toothpaste and I swipe it, and the woman's like, I'm like, what? You work at fucking Walmart. Don't judge me.
I understand. I understand.
All right, so your COVID test.
So there's a disclaimer underneath the COVID test, and basically the difference between the PCR and the rapid. The PCR, they test for RNA, and for the rapid they test for the proteins that are on the outside of the virus or whatever the fuck they say. So there's a disclaimer under the PCR, and it says, after reading all this stuff, it's talking about like threshold levels and all this different shit. It gives you like graphs to look at, but on the graph it has like a little asterisk saying data omitted from this graph. So basically the graph shows you nothing. Like it doesn't show me anything. And it's talking about this threshold level of like these certain CT values, all this crap that I have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. But they're giving you this information, then they're giving you these graphs, and you can't even figure it out for yourself. You're like, all right, so then what's the threshold? What level do I have to be at for me to not be infectious or to be severely sick or whatever? It doesn't say. I just have my level, and I only see like a little bit of the graph. So I'm like, well, what the fuck's going on? Then I read the disclaimer, and it says, please note, there is no consensus on whether or not this test describes a person being infected, level of infectivity, or severity of infection. So I was like,
you're basically getting a Q-tip inserted into your nose, and they're just going to tell you you don't have COVID or you have COVID.
So I was like, wait, so does this mean that I might not have it and this test might not be correct? So the woman that calls me on the phone to tell me I have I tested positive, and she's informing me, and I said, yeah, I looked at the email, and I went online, and I saw my chart. And I read this disclaimer underneath. I was like, can you answer me this question? Like, do you know what any of this means? And she goes, honestly, I don't know. She goes, I could have your doctor call you. So I said, yeah, just have him give me a call. So a couple hours later, he calls me, and I start asking him questions. And I said, I'm reading this stuff on the information for the test and all these different things. He's like, yeah, I wouldn't. He cuts me off. He's like, yeah, I wouldn't worry about any of that. All that matters is you're positive and you need to quarantine. I said, no, listen, I'm not doubting you. I understand that I could probably be positive and I'm going to quarantine. I'm going to do that anyway. I've been doing that since I found out I was exposed. I said, but can you explain to me what this information means? Because from my understanding after reading this, it basically says that this test is not a clear indicator of whether or not I'm actually sick. I said, I'm still at home with my mother, and she had heart surgery not that long ago. I said, I need to know how infectious I am. I don't want to get her sick, God forbid. And he goes, yeah, I understand. He goes, but honestly, he goes, I just wouldn't look at that information.
Did you hear that?
Hear what? I just heard that now.
That wasn't me knocking on wood because you said the thing. So I wanted to.
We said, what?
You said something like, I God forbid my mom gets sick, so I knocked on
Oh
wood.
yeah. I appreciate. I didn't even hear it. I'm sorry. I appreciate that,
I believe more in superstition than I do in religion.
dude. I do the same thing. I knock on wood all the time.
Do you ever throw salt over your shoulder?
No, my cousin does that though. I've never done that before.
Waste of salt. What the fuck? Salt's important, man.
No, yeah.
Back in the day in Egyptian times, they used to use salt to preserve their food because there was no refrigerators.
They did that during Western times, Old West. That's what they had to do. There was no refrigerators either.
See,
so they had to do that.
Listeners, the Out of the Blank podcast can also be educational. So to the honey badger guy, thanks.
So I eventually get him to start telling me information, and he's stuttering over his words. And mind you, this guy is the kind of doctor that if he doesn't know the information, he's going to be very upset because he likes to know a lot of things. He's very, very smart. So he told me, he's like, if I'm going to be honest with you, they don't give us the information on the tests. He goes, the federal testers, they receive the test that we get, we get the sample, then we send it to them. They review everything and they give us the results and they tell us what to tell you. So if you're positive, they just tell us to tell you you're positive. They don't let us see anything regarding like the CT values that I was talking about and the thresholds and everything like that. We can't see the actual test. So I said, so there's no transparency between you guys and then the federal testers. He goes, no, because we can't see anything like that. He goes, we're just told this is what we need to do because it's the best for society. That's his words, swear to God. And I was like, that's very strange. I'm like, terms like this, the people that are dealing with it most are the people that are on the front lines, nurses, doctors, not the federal lab testers. They're the ones that are dealing with the tests, but they should at least be telling everybody what the hell is going on. And then he told me, he goes, if I'm going to be honest with you, if I was a betting man, I would not put my money on whether or not these tests are accurate, including the PCR test.
Damn, that's coming from a doctor.
Yeah. So I ended up speaking to somebody else whose wife is a nurse. She said the same thing. Their doctors don't know anything. Completely different hospital.
All of it's bullshit.
Dude, I've had a feel. It's not that I'm not doubting that it's a real thing.
No, it's the nocebo effect. You know what the nocebo effect is?
I know what the placebo effect.
Okay.
What's the nocebo? Just
so my listeners know, this is a clear example of Mark never listening to my podcast because I've mentioned this multiple times. Just kidding. Right. But I have talked about this before. So the same podcast I was listening to with Jim Brewer, he mentioned this as well too. His friend ended up he said he was sick, at the start of the coronavirus thing, and everyone was joking around like, oh, he's got COVID. Jim Brewer goes on a trip with his wife for like a week and a half, comes back, and they tell him, let's say the dude's name's Rob, Rob's in the hospital, he's on a ventilator, and he's like, what? Like, what's happening to him? Finds out he's got COVID, and now he's gone brain dead. Tells the family of the guy that they can't see him. He's dead. He's brain dead. He's gone. Dude was still alive, not brain dead at all. But they told his family that he was dead, like he was done. A friend of the family member called a doctor, a specialist that was a friend of the family, and had him go there to see for himself. Since he's a doctor, he can go past all whatever the hell it was. The story you got to listen to. He explains it better. But short term turns out that parts of his brain did die because he had multiple strokes, not brought on by coronavirus, but brought on by the fact that they weren't treating him properly. He needed a certain medication for his blood and he stroked out. So then now he's never going to be able to walk again. My issue here also is the fact that they wouldn't let the family see the guy knowing that he's dying, like you can't cause COVID. Okay, well, what's protecting you A mask? What's protecting you from getting COVID? You know, if you're going to want to, like, I lost my grandmom. If someone would have told me that I couldn't go see my grandmom, somebody's getting punched in the fucking face. I'm just
Yeah.
saying. But I understand that's not me just not understanding COVID. It's just me loving someone so much to the point where I don't want anybody keeping me from my last moments.
Yeah.
So this guy goes home. He's in a wheelchair for the rest of his life, or at least for now. He's watching Metallica on the TV. He's kind of depressed. His wife comes home and sees him like kind of like moving around to some Metallica music on the TV, points at it and says, "I want to go to that." She says, "Okay, we'll go to Metallica concert." He goes to the Metallica concert. There's a thing called Metallica family, which is that the fans of Metallica are such a close knit. They treat you like one of their own, like your family to them. So it's such a good community. They rushed him up to the front of those, like front stage, front lines. You know, you got to go backstage, meet everyone. But he started to be able to like move his legs again. And they're like, what the fuck? And doctors were astonished. So they did some scans on his brain and saw part of his brain tissue that was dead was starting to come back. They don't think it's the music of Metallica, but they think it's the positive, the community aspect that's bringing things in. So the nocebo effect is, which honestly, COVID's real. We all fucking know. And I've talked about it plenty of times recently. But it's the idea of fear. It's control. When you tell people there's a deadly virus and people get scared, they become weak. See, your body needs a certain amount of stress. Too much stress is very, very damaging to your health. Too little stress is also damaging to your health. And the reason why is when you have those me days, those personal days, when you sit at home and relax and take a time to let the load off, your body says, we're not in a state of panic anymore. Lower our defenses. Your immune system goes on a state of regeneration instead of a state of being on alert. So then that's when sickness can happen more. It's usually why when you come back after like a me day, you're kind of feeling groggy or sick a little bit.
Yeah.
It's because your immune system's trying to catch back up. So actually a manageable amount of stress is actually good for your body. It keeps your immune system strong. The nocebo effect is studies that they have taken autopsies on people that have been diagnosed with cancer, finding in the autopsy that the cancer person that died, the cancer was benign, but they had been given a deathly illness to where their brain started experiencing, like you just convinced your brain that you have a terminal illness. Now your body is starting to experience symptoms of something you don't have. This is a big issue with why it's against human ethics to misdiagnose somebody. It's a very big issue because you literally are implanting this fear into someone's head that their body will start experiencing symptoms of things, just like a placebo effect. It's called the nocebo effect. It's fucking insane, man. That's what I think this thing is that you're scaring people, telling them that they need to do these precautions, they need to do these things, they need to do all these things. Same thing with a vaccine passport. People talk about it being the mark of the beast.
Yeah.
You're scaring people so much that they're getting pushed to take a vaccine that might actually hurt them more. Blood clots are in the Pfizer vaccine. There's a small percentage chance you get a vaccine, you get blood clots from it. Fucking has stem cells in it from the 1980s. Did you know that they use fetal
Yeah.
cells from the 1980s?
Yeah.
Fucking, I'm not even surprised at that one. That's kind of funny, but
No, I wasn't surprised. I wasn't surprised about that. That's, I mean, dude,
that's how they develop
more than we.
vaccines. Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna no, but I'm saying that they use stem cells for like everything. It's probably more than we know.
Yeah. But it's these things where it's like you're making people be afraid. Now they're saying that still you can contract coronavirus even after you get the vaccine. I just talked to Chuck before we talked. And he talked about someone at work didn't have their mask on. He's like, you need to wear a mask on the ferry ride. And she said, well, I got the vaccine. He goes, yeah, but that doesn't protect you from getting someone else sick. And it's like that right there. The vaccine is supposed to protect you from coronavirus. So that means you cannot contaminate others, if I'm not mistaken. And so it becomes this, you still got to wear the mask. You still got to do the precautions. You still got to do all these things to keep now other people safe. The vaccine has this weird thing about it where it's not really stopping coronavirus. You might get it less likely, but who's to say? Maybe some dude has a really strong immune system. I had a dentist stick his hands in my mouth and breathe over me while I was getting, my mouth surgery thing. I didn't get COVID. I eat very healthy.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's an idea that once you tell people to stay inside their homes and you see how much power you fucking have, it's very, very hard to give that up. And that can be a conspiracy theory, sure, but you're not giving any room for that not to be a possibility. You're making it pretty point to like that's a fucking possibility. Like they talked about, it came from bats. Not true. The lab that was there, though, this disease has been showing signs of it being manipulated. So they think that it was probably in the process of becoming an actual weapon disease, but
Yeah.
it went wrong. And then this all happened. It's something got out, which is not fucking wrong. We have plenty, even in the States over here, where we're studying infectious diseases. The CDC practices with Ebola, bubonic plague, all this shit. To think that they don't have the thought in their head, much like we probably do, is like you could turn that into a weapon. It's gonna fucking happen, man. So I'm
Oh
not
yeah. I
saying it's
mean,
not real. It's just the idea of,
yeah.
is all these precautions really things that we need to be doing, or is it just like try and keep yourself, yeah, social distance, sure, but all these things of like staying locked down inside your house, that creates depression and that gets you sicker.
Yeah. No, dude, I agree. I mean, the things that's also weird. I mean, I know other people have been saying it too. It wasn't just my own personal experience. But when my mother lost her close friend, who was actually her best friend, it was early on during COVID. Um, she had a heart attack, and they told her husband that, oh, it attacked her heart. And I'm like, that's not really what this does. So I was like, I don't know. What do you mean? I was like, maybe, she couldn't breathe. And then from the stress, her heart gave out. Maybe it was something like that. I wouldn't call it, something that was like it attacks your heart. That's why I think a lot of people are confused, because people don't really understand. Like, symptoms occur based on your body trying to fight off whatever's inside of it. Like, you get a fever because your body's elevating the temperature to kill whatever's inside. You don't get a fever because the thing makes you have a fever. It's your body trying to protect itself. It's trying to kill whatever's inside. So she wasn't feeling well for a while, and then her husband was kept trying to get her to go to the doctor. She didn't want to go because she was afraid of going to the hospital and then getting coronavirus. So she wasn't even sure if she had it. She just didn't feel right. But she, God forbid, went there, and she just really didn't want to get sick. Ended up being too late, unfortunately. So when she really felt like crap, he called the ambulance to go and get her, and she ended up dying in front of her son while the husband was outside with the people, like with the ambulance people, with the paramedics. And the weird thing is, they never did an autopsy. So what they ended up doing, they tested her son and her husband for the antibodies, which was like really weird. Test them for the antibodies. They tested positive for the antibodies, so they assumed that she had COVID, but they did not do a full autopsy. So even to this day, they just said she had a coronavirus-induced heart attack, but they did not do a full autopsy. With a lot of people, that's happened. I mean, my girlfriend's father, he is a funeral director, and they got bombarded with bodies and shit. They couldn't, not the funeral homes, the cemeteries were backed up. They weren't taking bodies and stuff like that. But a lot of these people didn't really get to go through that full process, like of being checked out to see why they actually died. They just found out that they had coronavirus in them, but that may not have killed you. You know what I mean? So similar to what you were saying about that story with the
Nocebo effect.
the nocebo. So even if he had COVID, it doesn't mean that the reason why everything happened was because of COVID. Is because you said because of his not getting his medicine that he was required. So she was, they didn't get to see her. She was taken away. She was buried, and they didn't get to have any kind of mass until later on. And it was like a weird thing, because I've known her for my whole life, and I feel like I have no closure. Like, I never really got to say goodbye. But the weird thing is, it's just like they kind of just like, yeah, she had COVID. Like, that's what it felt like. Even her husband felt like it was like a weird thing. Like, I have the antibodies, so they just assumed that she had COVID. They didn't do a full autopsy, and that was it.
The issue with that is when hospitals were like, a lot of people were freaking out because they're like, that dude died of alcoholism, like he overdosed. Why is they chalking it up to a coronavirus thing? See, hospitals were actually caught doing this. They were lying
Yeah.
about the COVID number of deaths, because each COVID person that dies, you get $450,000 of funding towards your thing for equipment
Yep.
for to deal with COVID. So
Yep.
see, it becomes really sketchy territory because now it's turning into a game of who's going to have the most bodies so I can get more money for my funding.
Yeah.
And it's very, very scary. See, my biggest issue with everything is not like I want to keep people safe. I want people to be safe. I think anybody that really knows me knows I'm not a person that would want anybody to die of an illness or die in general. But I'm not a fan of this idea of, I think physical pain is not as bad as emotional and mental pain. When you look at where this nation is going and where the world is honestly going, it's a hurt spirit, it's a hurt mind, and that's because everything is just causing an arrow of schizophrenics. Like it's very, very difficult. I have a very, very huge empathy for people, and you don't really realize like people are going to get fed up and then they're going to open back up. We started seeing that when people started getting fed up, they opened back up. They're like, oh shit, we kind of pushed our little goalpost a little bit too far here. We got to retract it back a little bit.
Yep.
Now people are going to go out in the world, realize that their fucking job sucks. Now that they have to go back to work, they like staying home, which happens when you take a day off and then you go back to work. You're like, oh, fuck, I wish I had another day off. Then they're going to fucking say another variant coming up and you're going to go right back into your fucking home again, get locked down for a couple more weeks. It's going to start the whole fucking process all over again, because when they can literally make you go inside your house, the issue is like now they're banning guns. I'm like, now you're really not giving a thing for conspiracy theory people.
Yeah.
Cause now like, that's the one thing is people are like, the government never comes for me. I have my rifle. Well, when the government bans them all, and then now they can really get you inside your home and you don't have a fucking pot to piss in. Like it's very, very sketchy. I think people look at the core issue, which is the government, and I say you need to look at the steps up to that core issue. Things don't start off at 100%. They build up to it. There are other things to fix: police departments, hospitals, education system. There are so many small fundamental things that aren't really small and fundamental. They're just these things that aren't in our giant view of things. People are attacking big giant monoliths of power instead of looking at the way that you want to chip away the blocks at the bottom to make the whole thing fall over like a fucking Jenga tower. But man, I'm just I don't know any more than any other person out there. I'm just a person that's seeing a lot of weird shit where I feel like even if you don't, I'm not spitting out facts. I'm just pointing out some weird shit you might want to look at. I mean, everyone likes to say, I know this, I know that. I'm like, I don't know anything, but I know one thing
Yeah.
is that fear is a powerful tool. And when you
For
use it
sure.
against somebody, it's very, very crippling.
Yeah. For sure. I know my aunt has a very similar view to what
Damn
you
it,
have,
Mark,
and
you
I
got
mean,
me
listen.
up in here all emo and shit.
Oh no, man. I mean, listen. It's a very real thing. I mean, it's one of those things where um, it's like uh, it's like when people try to talk about whether God exists, right? And they're like, well, science says that God doesn't exist or whatever. Like it's all based on whatever. So it's like you believe God doesn't exist, but you can't because there's no proof of God. But at the same time, there's also proof. There also isn't proof that he doesn't exist. Meaning, like you can't prove to me that he doesn't exist, and I also can't prove to you that he does exist. So at the same time, like they cancel each other out. Same thing. We don't know everything about this. My doctor, who has done this all his life, doesn't know because he's not being shown. And at the same time, that's the thing that freaks me out the most. That's like plays into everything that we're talking about, the conspiracy of it. Like, yeah, it seems like a conspiracy theory, but at the same time, when my doctor's telling me that he's not allowed to see what's going on, like, what's the reason for that? Like, wouldn't you think that now's the time more than ever that you want more than one eye on this? Like, you want people to put their heads together and figure this out. Like, you got people that are seeing more cases than anybody, especially in New York State. Now it's California's the number one, but wouldn't you want everybody that's dealing with it face to face to know what's going on and to see what you see? That's the thing that's weird. Like when he told me that, I was like, this is like I was thinking about this shit. Like people are just kind of saying the same thing. It's like because they're being told to say the same thing. Like no one's thinking for themselves. And that's fucking weird. Really, really weird to me. It scares the shit out of me. It really does.
It's funny
So
because you're not the only person that thinks this. Like I probably the last 10, 15 recordings I've done, everyone brings up this whole COVID, the government, mask, all this type of shit. And I'm like, I can't help it. Anybody that's listening, it's like, I'm tired of fucking hearing it.
yeah,
It's on everybody's fucking mind. I mean, we're all right in it right now. It's the thick of it. And it seems like it's about to go back into the beginning again. And it's like fucking pissing a lot of people off because I think it's just an issue. Like, I don't think God sat in a room and was like, I'm going to create people so they can just debate and consider them being the only ones right and them being the only ones wrong. Something implanted into our minds some point to think that. I think it was more like, I'm going to create man. I'm going to create people. Now, when this happens, well, I want them to have discussions. I want them to talk about science. I literally spent the past couple of days watching debates on YouTube just for the fuck of it. Just because I listened to flat earthers versus scientists. I listened to vegans versus meat eaters. I listened to people that were pro death penalty, people that were not pro death penalty. I listened to people that were religious and people that were non religious, people that were criminals versus people that were police, just seeing the perspectives. And you got to see like nobody fucking wants to be wrong. It's like,
Yeah.
nobody's wrong. We're having a discussion. That's the point of conversation. Oh my God. I feel like I'm fucking pissing into the wind. I'm trying to tell people like it's so easy to just talk to someone and then hear their thoughts and then you exchange yours. Nobody needs to be better than somebody else. That's my issue with people with like people. Oh my God, I'm gonna rant. People with like
Okay, don't worry.
the only arguments I never really, I guess the only arguments or episodes I don't really post are people that talk down. When you talk down to someone, you're automatically claiming that you're more superior. And that is the biggest issue with the world is a lot of people want to be number one and people want to act like they're the activists and people want to support them. Here's the fucked up part. When they support that person gets into the number one position, becomes this leader, they'll do anything to take that person down so they can steal their number one position. All these people on the left that were protesting and doing all these things, and these people that they were basically protesting whatever, they were supporting them. Like, we support you. We're going to help you take it down. They didn't think it would come for them, and it fucking did. And it bit them like but don't bite the hand that feeds you, whatever. It bit them. And then they were the ones thrown on the cross. And it's like, there you go. You got to understand is that when you create this distorted perception in people's minds, they're not going to act rational. They're going to point at anybody. And if you don't agree with one thing that they say, you're the fucking enemy. I've met plenty of people in my life, probably much like you have, or you might be their friends. And then you say one thing they don't agree with. And they said, oh, you're like that. So you're not with me. You're against me. And you're like, what? We disagree on one thing? I thought we were friends. Doesn't matter anymore. You don't agree with me on this. That means you don't support me. And you're like, really? Really? Like, it happens, man. It's a fucking weird split personality, schizophrenic age we're heading into if we don't know how to fucking ride the storm correctly. And it gets me upset, man, because invite you on my show, talking about smoking crack, and it's all serious and got me all emo.
No,
it's true though, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, dude, it's one of the most frustrating things because then you just can't have a conversation with that person anymore because now you're like, am I going to say the wrong thing? Like, are we going to have an argument if I say like, what's my next word going to be?
You're
like,
religious, right?
Yeah,
I'm not religious.
But I don't push it on anybody. Everyone believes in their own thing, and I'm not like every Sunday goer. You know,
I'm open to all realms of interpretation, even Scientology.
Exactly.
I don't like the fact that they make you not see your family. I think that's fucking ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's where I don't like. That's where it gets into cults, man. I would start a cult with morals. I've said it before. I'll say it 1,000 times. I don't want like the Bebop comet. Remember the Bebop comet?
Yeah.
All the people that were waiting to see the Bebop comet, so they chopped their balls off. Fucking, that's nuts, man. No pun intended. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah.
There's you know who Adam Egget is?
Adam Egget. No.
You know the Norm Macdonald show that was on Netflix?
Yes.
Okay, he was the co-host with Norm Macdonald.
Okay.
He has a tremendous cult story called Sea-Doo. He went to this camp. He actually found out like 10 years later that he was in a cult. He didn't know. They said it was this camp for bad youth kids. But you would go to Joshua Tree, like out in the desert and shit, and you'd have a canteen of water that would last you like 3 days. And you'd be at this like fucking camp. You spent like 2 years there. And they had this thing called the Prophets, which is like they sit you like in a rehab circle. And he does it better. I'll point you to the episode, but it's on Joe Rogan. If everybody searches up Adam Egget, talks about his cult story, probably 2 hours in. See, I don't just promote my show. I promote others around me. I'm a fucking Jesus of the new age. No, cross yourself, Mark. That's bad. Don't say that.
He's a giver, ladies and gentlemen. He's a giver.
Given more than you know, my friend, to many sperm banks. Did you know that you can't donate sperm within a 3-state radius of where you donated?
No, I didn't know it.
Like, because they did this thing where it was like one dude was like, I'm gonna donate sperm here, then go to the next state and donate sperm there, and then donate sperm in the next one. You know why that is?
Why?
Because there's a high likely possibility that your kids will somehow fucking meet and then end up inbreeding. That's true. That's true.
No, I know.
You want to know another crazy one? Because I liked our last episode. I tried to get our last episode we did to advertise on YouTube, and YouTube's like, fuck no. I was like, what do you mean no? You took 2 minutes to check that. What did I say that was bad? And they were like, you said something about a priest having herpes.
Oh God!
And I was like, but it was the best part. Your face was like priceless. But there was a John Hopkins. Actually, hold on a second. I want to make sure I get this article correct because I actually have this article on my phone before you came in here. So, first ever penis scrotum transplant makes history at John Hopkins. Now, you know my issues with John Hopkins.
Yes.
But I'm happy they thought of this. So, they were talking about giving a guy like plastic surgeon was going to give this guy, I don't want to say his name, even though it's printed in the article, the first bilateral dick transplant, I guess. He describes he lost his genitals in war. He said it's a really mind-boggling injury to suffer. It is not an easy one to accept. Who wishes to remain anonymous. When I first woke up, I felt more normal with a level of confidence as well. Confidence, like finally, I'm okay now, he says. The donor's family members also opted for anonymity, but released a statement saying, we are all very proud that our loved one was able to help a young man that served his country. So this is the family talking about the cadaver penis that they took and transplanted onto this man. Where is the part in the article where they talk about in 2006 they did it first? There's a specific quote in this. If you just give me 1 second, give me some filler. Oh yeah. Doctors chose not to give the patient testicles after consulting with bioethicists. They determined that the sperm generating tissue would confer the potential for having children with genetic material from the donor. So you get a cadaver crotch and balls, you would use that and possibly have that dead person's kid. That is something I would have never even fucking thought of. So the fact that somebody with the vaccine is talking about, oh, now we're experiencing blood clot issues. This is where I'm on their side. They're not factoring in all this stuff. They're rushing the shit. So that's just my segue back to that. There are factors in the world when it comes to religion, when it comes to anything that we consider fact, a perspective you're not fucking seeing. Did you know that Tupac and Michael Jackson had a fight? There's specific articles about Michael Jackson saying bad things about Tupac and Tupac having a feud with Michael Jackson before his death. That is real shit, and nobody knows that.
Never knew that.
It's I'm gonna blow your mind with one more fact. Ready? What is that, 3 in a row? I don't want to fucking roll. None of them you've heard before, right?
No.
Cool. So people listening, I'm fucking educational. Fucking denying me for a ball gag tweet. I don't care. He's a good guy, probably. Somewhere out there, I guess. Just doesn't want to be on my show. But we talk about I can make it real awkward. No, but so back in the day, you know, the idea of the Loch Ness monster and then like seeing krakens or squid tentacles coming out of the water on pirate ships. Do you know what actually they're thinking that the pirates were actually seeing?
No, what?
A whale's penis. I swear to you, I'll send you the photograph, but they had a picture of the Loch Ness monster, like the blacked out photo, and they have a picture of what happens when a whale's mating and it flips upwards. So its dick comes out of the water and it looks like a straight up octopus's tentacle. And they think that's might have what been the mix of like being on the water for so long, like days, weeks, months, mixed with dehydration and things of that sort. You eventually see something that looks like a kraken. So it just makes me picture. Can you imagine going back in time to one of these pirate ships. Everyone's like drinking alcohol as their only source of liquid. They're all fucking drunk. One dude screams Kraken, and they're all like laying under or on top of the ship deck and falling off the fucking shores and drowning because they're seeing a whale penis in the water. Think that.
Dude, I never knew that. That's fucking crazy.
I'm out of facts for now, but
Oh my God.
the Out of the Blank podcast is educational. It might not be the education you want, but we can hit a T with Tiger Woods, I'd say.
Oh man. So going back to how you're saying you're worried, I am now negative and my quarantine is over.
Thank God.
But it was such a weird thing because my doctor, my girlfriend's aunt is a nurse, and all these other pieces. What?
Your gyno?
No, not my gyno.
Okay.
Not my gyno. They're all telling me, it's like, just wait to get the test because you're going to still show up positive. I'm like, okay. I was like, I didn't feel sick at any point. So I was like, I'm wondering if this is just a false positive. That's what I was wondering. So I got another test. My quarantine was supposed to be up Wednesday. It was 2 Wednesdays ago.
Wolverine Wednesday.
Whenever it was. Yes, it was on a Wolverine Wednesday. Yes.
Should have had Wolverine as like on the hang in there kitty poster.
Oh my God. Imagine I posted that, like, I got COVID, guys. Hang in there. So I ended up testing negative. And I was like, okay, this is great. My doctor tells me, and he calls me up and he goes, why did you get another test? I said, well, after we last spoke, I said, since I'm asymptomatic, it's probably better to see if I get a test, and see if I'm actually negative before I, finish my quarantine and start going around and doing whatever. And it's like, oh, okay, no problem. So quarantine's over, tested negative, didn't feel any symptoms. The only thing I felt was like maybe fuzziness in my head for like 2 hours out of a day, but like that could have just been
the dementia.
Allergies. Yeah, the dementia. It could have just been allergies. You know what I mean? So who the fuck knows? But then my mother went to go get a test because she was supposed to go to see my nieces and my brother for Easter. And one of my nieces, her birthday is April 3rd, so it was right before Easter this year. So she was going to go down and see them in North Carolina.
Well, happy fucking birthday to her.
Yeah, thank you. She ended up testing positive, so she wasn't able to go on the flight. So I felt like shit. She hasn't felt anything, my mother. And she's at those like risk factors that a lot of people say, and she hasn't felt anything. She had like a headache that she can't shake, but that's it. Like just a headache. So she takes her Tylenol and
something in the genetic code, man. There's something in
yeah,
there.
that's what I'm wondering. So, and then my girlfriend ended up testing positive, but she was feeling like shit early on. Like a few days after we found out we were exposed, she went and got tested. She was negative. But then later on, after she was already kind of like the symptoms were subsiding, that's when she tested positive. So I'm like, what's going on? Because, you got people telling you that you should probably go get tested. It'll probably show up more likely when you have symptoms. So I was like, all right, well, at the beginning, you were telling me that you have most of the virus in you, like early on when this first happened, like in 2020, that your infectious and level of infectivity is higher when you first get it. So like before you show any symptoms, but then they retracted that, and that, who the fuck knows? They have all this different information going around, so you don't know what's right. So we're still trying to figure out if we actually have this thing. Like, we tested positive, but after what my doctor said, I'm like, I want to go get the antibody test. At least that's a blood test. Like, it's kind of hard to go wrong with a blood test.
Unless you're
like,
John Hopkins and you use 17 vials of my blood because you're just an incompetent fucking medical facility.
Yeah, that's a little bit different.
17. How the fuck you lose? I get it if you lose 3, but 17, I can't fucking let you pass on that one.
They're creating you somewhere. They're putting you back together.
I fucking hope a Terminator comes to my door with my exact, or a clone of me comes to my door trying to kill me. I will fuck me up. I'll beat the shit out of me relentlessly. I got so much anger towards myself. I don't give a damn.
Dude, I just thought of, have you seen Liar Liar with Jim Carrey? Oh, there's a scene where he's beating himself up, but he's actually hitting himself. This guy walks into the bathroom as he's doing it.
Oh
He
yeah,
goes,
yeah, yeah. What are
"What
you
the
looking
hell are
at?
you doing?" He goes, "I'm kicking my ass. Do you mind?" This shit was so-
I'm
oh,
kicking
man.
my ass. Do you
I love
mind?
that fucking movie.
Um,
But yeah, so there's no need to be worried. Everyone in my family that ended up getting it, and it was just me and my mom, but we were and my girlfriend, but we're all fine. We're all
I'm
negative
happy
now.
for you, man.
Yeah, so thank God. I was so fucking worried about my mom, but it was like I said, such a freak thing.
It's
We really,
something we're learning, man. I swear,
yeah,
there's information that's going to come out. I mean, they just did there was just that article that just came out 3 weeks ago. Now they're starting to realize they did a study. Cows actually have thoughts. So before you kill them, this animal's actually thinking. So now it's like ethically, like you're killing cows. Now it's a creature that thinks. Before we didn't know they thought anything. Now they literally have fear and stuff like that. So when you're killing them, they're actually thinking cognizantly.
yeah,
So now it's
yeah,
like going to affect the whole meat industry.
yeah.
Can you imagine that? You're
Uh,
killing a cow and a cow's like, I don't want to be fucking killed. Like now the cows we're knowing scientifically have like thoughts like that. Like
yeah,
they're knowing they're being murdered. So now it's like, oh my God, are we fucking genociding people now? It's like they're technically now cognizant. The whole reason it was okay was because they didn't have thoughts. That's bullshit. But
yeah,
that's what I'm saying is someone's gonna hear that and be like, what? And it's like, no, that's a lie. There was no study that did that. I just made that up. But that's misinformation. And that's what the world is leading
yeah.
into, an era of schizophrenia, because even the guy who made Dark Mirror or Black Mirror, I don't want to make any more shows because the world is already too insane. That's what I'm saying.
Well, I actually thought they were cognizant anyway. I know you're saying it's not
They're
a real
not.
study,
They're
but
not. They don't have thoughts.
well, I understand, but um,
A cow
my
doesn't see a sunset and go, "What's
yeah,
up?"
but it's their level of thinking. That's like saying a dog doesn't see a sunset and thinks, oh, you know, like
I honestly, I think when you say words, a dog doesn't even understand the words; they just understand the tones that come out of your mouth.
yeah,
If you
yeah.
say
But then the things,
Rex, Rex, he's just gonna associate. You could say Hex, Hex, and he would still run to you.
yeah, yeah, exactly, exactly. I still don't. I'm not saying that doesn't mean like they're at less of a thing, less
There's
of a
only
level
one
than we are.
animal that that has literally caused people to hesitate killing, and I'm not talking about domestic animals like cats or dogs or anything. Because honestly, you went to Australia, they shoot house cats, so uh, that might be misinformation. I'm pretty positive they do though. Um, but what do you call it? There's a fish. There's a fish that has eyebrows, so it actually cause you know how you kill a fish, right?
Yeah,
With a billy club. So fishermen would go and hit this fish in the head with a billy club, and as they would go to swing, this fish would look up and then raise its eyebrows, and it was like that fucking thing. The reason why we eat cows is they don't have eyebrows. Dogs have eyebrows. Cats technically have a little bit of eyebrows, I'd say, but since cows don't have eyebrows, the emotion's gone. Same reason it's called the uncanny valley. Certain facial features that line up that actually, like, it's the same reason if you see one of those real dolls, like the sex dolls, the ones that look humanistic, why you could tell it's a robot even though how realistic it looks. It's because the uncanny valley, the facial features are like 100% symmetrical, and it throws off, there's this weird Fibonacci sequence that goes on with your face that it's very, very hard to recreate, but it's a perfect distinguish so you don't connect emotion, because what connects emotion is when something looks a lot like us. It's very, very insane in my opinion, to be honest with you.
yeah. Well, it makes sense. Um, but no, I know some places like I think India, cows are very important, so they don't
Yeah,
kill
the
cows.
ancestors.
Yeah,
And that's funny because India's numbers are the lowest, even though they have the most people in the smallest country. I would say they have 1/3 of America, but they have way more numbers than I think than they have the same amount of numbers of people in that America has. And the reason why their COVID numbers are so low is because of their diet. They eat a lot of
I don't
things.
know if yeah.
Well, they eat a lot of things like green tea, and they eat a lot of things of like that have this certain supplement in it, like iron, vitamin D, all these things that we have to supplement for, but that's just naturally in their diet. So their immune system has been able to handle this properly.
Yeah, I'm wondering if they have as much availability for testing too, if
They
that's a
have
factor.
diarrhea in the street. I don't think they're concerned with
It's
COVID. I think it's something different.
That's what I'm saying. So like, I'm wondering if they're even testing as much as we are, because I feel like there's lines at every
And by the way, that's
urgent
not
care.
that diarrhea thing is not fake. That's real shit.
No,
I
I know.
work jet skis, and a large portion of the population that rents jet skis are Indian people or foreign people like that. And I remember one person was in the bathroom. They literally took their kids' diapers and they threw them right in our bushes, like right in front of our fucking building. Didn't even give a shit. They don't care. One dude shit his pants. He threw his swim trunks onto the thing. It's just their culture down there. It's a little bit different. There's a lot of people in a small area. That's why I read this book. His name is Matthew Iglesias, and he said that overpopulation or something is a myth. Like America could hold way more people than it has now. And I'm like, I understand your point is that anybody that wants to come to this country should come to this country, especially to better their lives if they're in a very bad scenario. But the people that are living here right now are already at high tension with each other. Adding more is not going to solve that solution. Fix the core issue, and then we can focus on all these other things to add up to a bigger and better world, in my opinion. But like I said, I'm not a scientist. I'm a guy doing a podcast at fucking, now it's 6 p.m., 2 hours past my bedtime, in a fucking studio with an ISIS curtain behind him. So
ISIS curtain. I love how you call it the ISIS curtain.
it's like
Oh my
you would
God.
see these in videos if someone's getting their head
No,
chopped
yeah,
off.
for sure. Getting chopped off. Yeah.
YouTube will let that go, but if I say something about rabbis and circumcision, it's fucking
Dude,
tossing that one out.
We mentioned COVID. It's not going to stay now. They're already going to be like, nope, no way this is staying. That's another thing
okay.
too. That's
Spotify takes me.
Spotify takes. That's right. That's all that matters.
You can
You
find
know, that's
me
weird
on,
too. Go ahead.
I was going to say, you can find me on Podchaser, Spotify, or just Google Out of the Blank podcast instead of asking for my fucking link. Why nobody Googles anymore? Everybody Googles 24/7. And the fact that someone goes, where can I find it? It's like,
it's not hard.
Take 2 seconds to type it into the old Google machine, clear out the old search history that says how to normally be a cross-dresser. And then you fucking type in the damn name of the podcast. And I should be the first one, even though I'm coming across a lot of people with out of as their title for their show now. And it's like out of the box, out of the character, out of the norm. I'm like, motherfucker, when did you start your show? And I click on it and it's like 5 months ago. I'm like, I was first.
I have the t-shirt to prove it. OOTB. That's right.
Represent.
Oh, man.
Papa John, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Please. I saw your documentary. I don't think you're a cult leader. I think you might be an alcoholic, but I would like to talk to you on my show because I think of the company. Did you see the news thing? That was very upsetting. I was like, man, you got fucked, bro. I'm sorry about that, man. And
yeah, it looks really bad.
You asked me how I was doing, and I was going to give you my real answer. So
give me the real answer. I'm still asking.
I'm upset.
Why are you upset, Robbie?
I typed into Google.
Oh, no.
Tell me the truth of Mr. Rogers' evil. And I found a 15-minute YouTube video about the evil of Mr. Rogers. And my mind went, I fucking knew it. I predicted Bill Cosby. I predicted Chris D'Elia. I predicted the fucking episode I sent you that you probably didn't listen to about people will say random shit about people that don't have any evidence, like Pepsi being racist. And I put up all these tweets about Pepsi being racist. And then not even 2 weeks later, Coke came out with an article about how to be less white. Last time I'm saying it on the show, folks. I'm sorry. I know I keep repeating it. But so I watched this video and I'm like, this is it. I fucking knew it. Mr. Rogers is evil. And I'm watching this video and it starts off with this woman. And I told Chuck this. She goes, I used to watch Mr. Rogers all the time as a kid. And I'm like, oh, he fucking did something to her. I know it. She goes, then I developed a brain tumor. And I sent an email to a letter to Mr. Rogers. And he came in and he did prayer by my bedside. And I was like, motherfucker, I just watched a 15-minute video telling me everything I'm feeling is wrong. And I was so hurt. I was legit crushed. I was like, I don't think he's a bad guy, but I think he's like Pee-wee. he has a certain thing about him that isn't okay, or not okay, but is like a little bit weird or out of the norm. And I think he might be a cross dresser. I don't consider that being bad. I just say he might be a freak on the inside, that because he's suppressing something. I think, I worked at a hotel that we had a bunch of priests come in and rent out 2 floors of our hotel. When they left and we cleaned out their rooms, there was nothing but giant ass bottles of Jack Daniels, a whole bunch of liquor bottles. Because you can't do certain things, you find a different avenue to get out of that pain. So I'm
Sure.
just saying, look into it. Somebody, please. I will pay a private investigator. I talked to a fucking genealogist and a family historian to ask him how much is it going to cost to track Mr. Rogers' legacy, so I can figure out what the fuck am I feeling about this guy. If there's something there, I'm not dismissing it.
Sorry that you didn't get to see the video you wanted. I was waiting too. I was like,
so upset.
I had it in the back of my mind too. I was like, watch, it's gonna be like the nicest video ever about about Mr. Rogers.
I got fucked. They clickbaited the shit out of me.
Oh man.
Oh,
no, man. No, I understand. He might give off that weird vibe, but I don't know.
Hi
it
there,
could just
neighbor.
be him as the character.
I hope you don't mind if I take my shoes. Hold on. I have a. Tell me about Give me like some background noise. I need to find this photo real quick.
You want some background? Well, but then if you're not really focused on the conversation, Robbie.
What?
Well, are you gonna tell me how you really doing now, or are you gonna still keep talking about Mr. Rogers and other stuff?
We could talk off there.
Oh, come on.
I'm slowly crying in the shower, but I think that's normal because you ever stand too long in the shower and you're like, it's so much easier just to sit and you just fucking squat. And next thing you know, you're like, damn, let the water just shower over you. The pain just goes away.
Maybe take a bath.
No, because that's sitting in your own shit.
What? The whole point is you shower first and then you sit in the bath water after you're already clean.
That's
You ever done it?
Way too much work. Oh my God. Come on, I know I have this photo.
What's the photo you're looking for?
Well, I'm scrolling past all these photos of you where I photoshopped your face on a Wolverine's body.
I know. That was a scary one.
I was really good at that.
They were horrifying.
Horrifyingly good?
Horrifying. My face does not belong anywhere near Hugh Jackman's body. It did not just look so wrong.
I fucking found it. So I found this photos of my boy, Mr. Rogers.
Oh, I love that photo. That's a great photo.
He's flicking people off.
Yeah, but did you see this? Did you see the full episode?
I don't need to research it. I like to take things out of context.
Come on.
What was he telling?
He was laughing doing that.
Like, that's even worse.
No, but I'm saying because he realized what he was doing. It was not supposed to be like derogatory, or he wasn't supposed to be doing anything wrong.
Not the children.
No, but seriously, I think it was something that the guest was saying, or it was like some sort of dance thing, and he did it, and he's realizing what he's doing, and he's laughing because he's like, "Oh, I'm doing it." It's like you see him for like the real him, not the fake him on the show. Like you see the real him. Watch the video. You might get less of a feeling with it. He doesn't seem like that creepy dude. Like you see like a different face.
That strikes me more as a psychopath.
Dude, it was
dude.
Dude, no, seriously. If you were in a scenario like that, right? You're supposed to be playing this whole thing, and this guest comes on. You're supposed to be doing this whole thing, and the guest starts doing this shit. Like if you were a psychopath, you would just think, okay, like you wouldn't really think much of it. But like he's consciously thinking, like this is funny. Like that's like something that me and you, like a normal person, would think. Like, oh my God, I'm doing this for this dance. Like, as I'm not supposed, I know what this means. It's not really what it's supposed to mean for this guest, but I'm doing it anyway. Like, it looks funny.
What are you doing?
What are you doing?
I don't know. You did this, and I couldn't see your hands, so I don't know what you were doing.
This right.
That's the thumbnail for the video.
Oh, fuck you, you motherfucker.
Say it in a Boston accent.
No thumbnails of that. Come on.
Say it in a Boston accent, and I won't do it.
Say what in a Boston accent?
You motherfucker.
You motherfucker. It's not really much of a Boston accent.
That's a good one. Sound like the guy, what's his name that plays in that one thing? Well, his name's got to be Louis or something. Hey, it's Louis. Hey, Louis.
Louis.
Louis,
Hey,
what do you?
Louis.
Louis. Louis, where's the fucking pasta sauce?
I just think of That's My Boy with Adam Sandler and Andy Samberg.
Oh yeah.
That's like the voice I think
Donnie.
of. Yeah, Donnie Bagger.
Donnie Bagger. Oh, is he
When they're at
fucking? You fucking the fucking guy. You know the fucking
Yeah, that-
guy.
when they have the bachelor party and they give him the shot and he thinks it's alcohol and he drinks it. He's like, all right, yeah, I see what we're gonna do now. We're gonna do this now. And he drinks this. What the fuck is this? It's water infused with cucumber and harvest sandalwood. It tastes like fucking dick infused with balls and a side of fucking Rod Stewart's jizz. What the fuck we doing drinking water at a bachelor party for, Phil? And he's like, I love that fucking movie.
I had a coupon. I like that shit. So this crazy guy over here jumps on the tracks to save a fucking sandwich. I fucking throw him out of the way. Go up like this, and a train rips my shirt off and my fucking chest glistening. I'm like, oh my god, Adam Sandler's a
Six-pack abs, son.
Yeah, he's fucking priceless, man.
Critics gave him so much shit for that movie, and I'm like, everyone's asking to go back to the old Adam Sandler. I'm like, that was the old Adam Sandler. I'm like, I love that movie. I thought that movie was hysterical. Yeah, the incest thing when you find out about the brother. I mean, anybody hasn't watched it, I'm sorry, spoiler, but that happens in the film, and it's a little fucking weird. But he makes it funny. He makes the whole thing funny.
Yeah, I agree, Mark. And you make this whole thing funny, my friend.
Oh, Robbie. You're making me blush, dear Lord.
Where can people find you, Mark? We've almost been talking 2 hours, brother.
Oh boy, long time. Time flies.
When you're having fun.
Exactly.
Or learning about the evils of Mr. Rogers, or the fact that if you donate your dick to somebody, you can't donate the balls.
That was probably the most shocking thing out of everything we talked about. He's like, he could have somebody else's kids, the dead guy's kids.
That's so scary to me.
Oh my God, that's horrifying. Oh man. I guess if you want to have a son later on and you're just worried that you don't have enough time, you're just like, cut it off, give it to somebody.
You can't though, because it's against human ethics.
I don't know.
You got to remember there's a board that scientists also work off of, especially in the medical industry, called the Board of Human Ethics. And that means that anything that violates human ethics, you can't do what they deem ethically immoral. And that's one of them. Same thing with you can't donate sperm in like a 4-state radius. You have to make sure that it's farther away because you don't want the fear or risk of inbreeding.
You have the family doctor do it. Uncle Frank, he'll do it for you. Going off of that. All right, you guys, if you guys ever want to hear me talk again, you can find me on Instagram at that Wolverine guy. My @ is at Mark Filipe VA. I do a bunch of Wolverine stuff and occasionally some regular voiceover stuff. It's more of a for fun page. And then you can find me on Twitter also at Mark Filipe VA. I think it's _ VA.
Open to messages from everybody about coming back onto the show, because Mark only wants, he's like a blue moon. He only comes every once in a while. He's too busy.
Come on. I was hoping we'd go through a whole episode without you saying something like that. I was like, oh man.
It's fun having you on.
I know, man. I like being on too, but you can't take it personal. I like, we all got stuff going on.
Everything personal, honey badger man.
You have to like me. Don't give a shit. Okay.
Oh my goodness, Mark, it's been a pleasure. And for all my audience members that made it all the way into 2 hours without taking a break, you're a champ. And if you did pause to go to the bathroom, I could understand that. Sometimes you just gotta go.